Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested, and I'm super excited today because we have in studio Darshan Shankar, founder and CEO of Bigscreen. Bigscreen, you may have known, you may use it. We love this. You guys you have for almost a decade now made one of the most kind of essential applications for VR in way to enjoy with friends, content you have on your computer, streaming services. But we're not talking about software today. We're talking about hardware. You guys are making a VR headset.
Surprise.
Very surprised when you reached out and said that you guys have been for years now working on Bigscreen Beyond as hardware. It wasn't something I ever thought we'd dive into. So, but this is it.
This is it.
Okay, can we open the box and
Absolutely.
take a look? All right.
I mean, so we are VR enthusiasts. We love VR. We've been living and breathing VR for a decade now, and we felt like VR has gotten a lot better over the years. I mean, it's incredible what we have now versus 2016. It's gotten better and better and better every year.
Yeah.
But one thing that hasn't quite changed, and one thing that's actually gotten quite worse, weight. The headsets today are, while incredible, double the weight of what we had in 2016. They've actually gotten quite a lot heavier. Now, of course, they have batteries, or they have, displays haven't really shrunk down much. They're quite heavy. They've gotten high resolution, but not high resolution enough. And no one's really doing OLED displays anymore, so we want to push the bounds.
I remember back when the first headsets were out, and we were seeing the wide array of directions that headsets could go in. Types of panels, types of optics, where the priorities were. And you see trends of the big companies focusing on standalone, inside-out tracking. And while these are admirable goals and they service a big market, and I love those headsets, we also hear from parts of the community who are they feel left out in one way or the other, right? Maybe their priorities are different. And so you guys felt like the priorities, because you make the software for enjoying watching movies, right, for long periods of time. Comfort, wearability, contrast, all that was very important.
Yeah, so when we first embarked on this, it actually started from a perspective of what did we feel was missing in VR? And what did we feel was kind of holding back the big screen experience itself? If you really want to watch movies in VR, you want to hang out with your friends, well, the headsets are really uncomfortable to wear for a long duration of time. You come out of it feeling not so great. It feels really heavy on your nose. You get, marks around your eyes. It's just not quite great. It's not quite high resolution enough. You can still see pixels. For things like text-heavy applications in big screen or for watching movies, you really want to see the detail on as much as you can see what you'd get out of maybe a 4K OLED TV. Mm-hmm. VR didn't quite have that, and that was holding, I think, the VR experience back for the past few years. We've found like a lot of people who use, for example, a Quest. You end up plugging it into a PC, you don't need the battery, you want to run Microsoft Flight Simulator or something like that. Well, then why is there a battery? What else could we do to really optimize for those use cases where you already love VR so much and you just want that next level? So it was comfort, weight, and resolution. We just want to really push the bar on those aspects.
Okay, let's talk about those aspects then, because it sounds like you guys don't want to do everything. You want to use those things really well. And let's take a look. Can I take this out?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is one of your prototypes of Beyond, and I see it's super light, right? So of course, let's talk about the display and the panels and the optics. What are you guys using here?
So these are OLED displays, micro OLED displays to be specific. It's an RGB stripe, so the distance between the pixels is incredibly small.
Pixel fill.
The pixel fill. And it's RGB, it's full 8-bit, 2560 by 2560 pixels per eye.
2.5K.
2.5K per eye, so it's like a 5K headset, split across two displays.
I've seen what people have called 5K headsets in the past, and 2560, but they're maybe rectangular displays, and typically they're massive, right? Because to get that panel, no one makes panels that small.
Exactly.
So it sounds like you guys have a pretty small, and micro OLED allows for that?
Exactly. It's about that big. It's a 1-inch panel.
That's very small.
It's very small. I believe it's going to be the smallest display in a shipping consumer device this year.
Okay, so that's got to be paired with optics then to give you field of view.
Exactly. So we have custom pancake optics. So it's incredibly sharp. It reveals a lot of the details that our panel is capable of.
Interesting. Every headset I've seen this year, pancakes are the thing. And it seems like they almost came out of nowhere, right? Which obviously isn't the case. It's been optics technology that researchers have been working on. Walk me through that journey, because I'm sure 3 years ago people were still making those Fresnel hybrid lenses. How do you lock into pancake and find someone to make the right lenses for you?
I really think that we are now in 2023 starting like a second generation of VR. Everything from 2016 until today was a remix on the same form factor. It was Fresnel lenses, as you said, and typically LCD panels. And now a lot of new technologies have matured to the point where we can completely challenge form factors and take devices in very different, interesting directions. So pancake optics allows us to, it's called folded path optics. Light is actually, instead of going straight through the lens right to your eye, it actually comes to the lens and then bounces right back and then bounces right back out. That allows for greater magnification in a very small form factor, which is why this is just so thin.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of complexity in manufacturing these and in lens design to control for variables that affect optical performance and quality. So this has been a multi-year journey to get it to the point that meets the quality bar. Field of view, sharpness, chromatic aberration, a whole gamut of, well, gamut, no pun intended, like of important factors for VR usage.
For field of view, I have heard that that's a trade-off that you have to make when using pancake optics.
Yep.
So what are you guys targeting here?
So we don't have a specific number to share today, but it is, if you like using the Quest, for example, it's Quest level field of view.
Yeah. And you guys do all the testing in terms of getting it, wide sweet spot.
Yep.
and making sure the colors are even, because we see that these are things that are subtly different between even headsets using pancake lenses.
Exactly. Sweet spot, for example, is something that's been very difficult to get right. The smaller and smaller that you go, I mean, this is probably the smallest pancake optic in the market this year. As far as I know, it's incredibly small. The smaller you go, you have a much more difficult time when it comes to field of view, sweet spot. You're doing so much more magnification because the panel is so tiny, but you're trying to turn it into a field of view of, in the 90s or 100-degree range. It's very difficult.
Yeah, and I look at this form factor and it almost makes me think of like swimming goggles. Like
right.
That's the size it is. I know. So, is there a strap, just a soft strap?
There's a soft strap, which we have in here as well. And that's included with the device. We're also working on an audio strap. And the audio strap has some rigid components with a knob on the back, and it extends out. That's a pro feature. So there's no built-in audio on this one for one specific reason. This is meant to be the lightest, smallest possible device. And a lot of the enthusiasts that we spoke with have their own headphones.
Sure.
Have fantastic audiophile headphones, and the soft strap allows it to be worn with that.
Okay, yeah, even more like swimming goggles with the soft strap here.
We've actually finally crossed a weight threshold where it makes sense not to have a top strap or additional straps. It actually works quite well for most use cases.
And if you're not using a top strap, you're not using a halo strap, not the weight on the forehead, what's being supported is how it contacts the back of my head and how it touches my face. And that's where I notice right here, there's no traditional gasket here.
Right, because there are magnets. So we're building a custom wearable VR device. So this is made one for one. This unit is made for you.
This is the thing that really, big surprise, because you said, one, you're making hardware, and two, you needed a scan of my face.
Yes, yes.
So I did. I used an application that you sent over, did a scan of my face, followed the instructions, screen by screen, and what do you have just a couple days later?
So in a short amount of time, we, at a factory that we built with machines we built, we manufactured your custom face cushion.
This is wild. Okay, so I see magnets here.
Yep.
Right. I can feel there's rigidity in here. So there's some kind of embedded plastic. So that can snap in. But what is this material? Because it's spongy, it's soft.
Yep.
It feels like some type of, low durometer rubber.
It's a silicon material, a silicon foam material that we invented, or rather we designed. We can't say what the material is. It's skin safe, used in other industries. So there's been plenty of work done on it already. But we modified it in a few ways to suit our needs. Mainly, we wanted this to be something that could be washable. For anyone who uses VR a lot, you know that the foam cushion can get pretty grungy over time.
Yep.
And we can wash this with just a little dish soap, just hand wash it. It can be gentle, but don't throw it in your dishwasher. But this is a washable cushion.
I feel that while it doesn't have tack, there's there's some gription here, right? So I can already see, I'm wanting to clean it. But what about like breathability? Because like it looks solid to me.
It is solid. So it's breathable also because we have ventilation on the inside of the unit. That's where we added some more of the breathability aspects. However, it's also meant not to be too porous in terms of absorbing. So one thing we've found is a lot of headsets that I've worn for, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of hours, it absorbs some gunk and just, it's not great.
Yes.
So this is not going to absorb too much of stuff over time. You can wash it. And with magnets, just stick it right on.
Wow. So you're making a custom one of these for every customer.
Exactly.
And you've built up infrastructure to do that, the
Yep.
scale, the numbers you want to sell this in.
Yep.
That's going to be, and turnaround time is going to be
Pretty short.
Pretty short.
Pretty short. I mean, the whole device in terms of when you order it to when you will get it might be a little bit of time, weeks or months, just because there's a lot of orders we got to get through, and we're ramping up our production right now. But the actual time to manufacture, a cushion on its own, we're talking about days. Now, one thing to note, the headset is also sized. So there is no IPD adjustment on the headset, just like how your glasses don't have IPD adjustment. Your glasses were built for you. You don't share your glasses, and this is a 68mm headset built to your spec.
And that's a calibration that you do
Exactly.
on the headset before you ship it out, like some type of mechanical adjustment.
Exactly.
Before you put it in the box.
Our thought process with this entire device is if you want a device that's shareable, something you can take to a party and show off your friends everything about VR, this might not be the best headset for you. However, if you want a headset that only you're going to use every day, every time you want to get into VR, it should fit you exactly right every time you put it on. Your IPD never really changes. Once you're done growing, once you're an adult, it's the same IPD.
Yeah.
So this is fixed to you. However, there's plenty of other people who are also a 68mm IPD, and there's some wiggle room too. You could, if you're 70 or if you're 66, you could still use a 68mm, so you can, sell this device or share it with another friend who's close enough in IPD with you. So there's some level of shareability. For example, if they had their own cushion.
Right, are you offering people to design?
We plan to.
Okay, they order the cushion, one household, maybe buy one headset first, multiple cushions.
Exactly.
Got it.
That being said, our focus definitely is best headset for you.
Got it. And then lens adjustment, right?
Yep.
I wear glasses. This is obviously not meant for me to wear with my glasses.
That's right.
So
Gen 2 of VR, it's so small that there's no way glasses would fit inside of it. So when we started on this project years ago, the first thing we did, in fact, many people start here, is adjustable diopter, a principle with pancake optics that many folks have tried now, where you can actually turn the lenses a bit and get it to your diopter setting.
Yeah.
We did this. This is where we started. We thought, this is amazing. Like, what a feature. We did a lot of tests, though, and we found that it was very difficult to get it right. Because when you adjust this, you have to keep in mind that there are mechanical tolerances of how it's manufactured and the movement of lens elements to give you that diopter adjustment. But that tolerance means that it can be a little bit off at times. So if you think I'm a -3 or something like that, you set it to -3, it might not actually be -3, it might be -3.5 or -4. When you put it on, for the first few seconds, your brain might be like, well, I think it's about right. And then 15 seconds later, you're like, yeah, this is about right. But when you're at the wrong diopter setting, and a device that's really meant for extended use and really get into VR, if you were to use the wrong diopter for an hour or an hour every week, it's the same as wearing someone else's glasses.
Right.
And any optometrist will tell you, please don't do that. You're really damaging your eyes at that point.
It's why you've got to renew those prescriptions every couple of years.
Exactly, or sometimes even more often. So we found in testing that people really struggled to get it quite right, because you have to take off the device, adjust it, put it back on, no, not quite right. It's a really painful user experience. And again, for a device that's meant to be yours, best for you, the solution for here that we found works really well is to simplify the optical stack to avoid any moving mechanical elements. I mean, there isn't a single mechanical element moving in there, except our fan, which we'll get to in a bit. So we found the solution being prescription lens inserts.
Of course, yeah.
So we build this to your spec. Now, we didn't have too much advanced time to plan for this, so I have a quickly made one that's for your eye. And we make these for every customer, even factoring in things like astigmatism correction and anything else that you might need. And they fit right on with magnets the exact same way
Right on.
as the strap.
All right. Yep. So everything custom.
Yep.
I mean, this is fundamentally a different kind of approach, right? Kind of a very, very bespoke approach to making a VR headset for people, the target customer is going to be someone who's already invested in VR.
Exactly.
Maybe, I mean, they're going to have the gaming PC, and these are SteamVR tracked.
Yes. So it supports SteamVR 1.0 and 2.0 base stations. It supports all of the SteamVR accessories and controllers that you probably already have, like the Index controllers or the Vive controllers. If you have Vive trackers or Tundra trackers, you can even do full body tracking.
And presumably, if you want to just do a 3DoF experience, as a lot of people sitting in couches can do, you can just do that, plug it into a laptop.
You know, that's something we should look into. It is technically capable of it, but I'll have to look and see if we have implemented it in here. It's something we can certainly consider.
Yeah.
The capabilities are there. I mean, it's got an IMU and everything, so we could.
Yeah. Fascinating. Wow. And it's been 3 years since you guys started
Several
this?
years. I mean, the idea of this started probably 5 or 6 years ago as a joke. I mean, it was at least 80, 90% a joke. Wouldn't it be funny if, we did this? And then over time, it became less and less of a joke, mostly because we felt there's just a device we really wanted, a device that we wanted for our own usage. So we built what we think is the world's smallest VR device. And we're making them. We've been manufacturing these for a while now. We've been figuring out little issues here and there and solving them. And what you're seeing now in your hand is a near production quality unit. I think my concern with this is there's a scratch on one of the pieces of plastic, and well, that's about it. So it's getting really close. So by the time people take pre-orders, they'll be able to expect their devices in a matter of months, not years.
And from your perspective, is this a hobby or is this the business going forward?
This is the business. I see this as we build computers for your face, and your face isn't one size fits all. So we're building custom wearable computers just for you.
Amazing. Like I said, I was speechless when you reached out and said this is what you were doing, and then I can't wait to try this on. Haven't tried it yet, so you're gonna give me a demo. But thank you, Darshan. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and good luck on the launch.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was able to use Bigscreen Beyond, this new VR headset, for just a little bit during this preview opportunity, and my just initial impressions is that it is very light. At 127 grams for the front piece, I think that swimming goggles or ski goggles analogy really works, especially with that elastic headband. It didn't feel like any VR headset I had put on in the past, even like the Quest 2, which came with an elastic headband. It was so perfectly fit to my face and eyes. There was no droop at all. Really didn't feel like I was wearing electronics or a VR headset, what I would think of as a VR headset, on my face. Now, that custom facial interface that they were able to make in a couple days, just based on a scan I did in 5 minutes using a web application. The fact that they could make that, turn that around, and have it for the demo was pretty impressive. But what was most startling to me was I didn't realize how important it was, or what a big difference it would be to have this facial interface be perfectly contoured to my face structure. It meant that there was no light bleed whatsoever. I never felt more, maybe immersed isn't the right word, but enclosed with the display and the optics. Almost was like a sensory deprivation chamber where I was completely separated from the outside world visually. I wasn't getting any single light bleed. The squishiness of that facial interface was comfortable as it touched my face, even though you could see there are some of those contours from, I think, the milling of the fabrication of it. And I think there's gonna be a balance. I didn't get it perfectly tweaked right between how tight you want the elastic headband to be versus how depressed and how conformed and how much you want that face interface to be pressed against your actual face itself, which is why I'm going to be really interested in their rigid head strap with a built-in audio option that they'll be announcing and releasing later. And in terms of the display itself, this is a micro OLED panel. So still fundamentally the same OLED technology that we've seen in the kind of the first generation of VR headsets, but now very much miniaturized in a 1-inch form factor for a 2.5K, 2560 by 2560 pixels for each of these panels. I did some digging around to see what components this might be, and the only one I could find that I think matches it is that you can buy, even as a consumer, a 1-inch micro OLED panel at this resolution, at this 90 hertz refresh rate for about $500. So these are not cheap components if that's what they're using. But combine that with the optics they developed, and it was a very high fidelity visual experience. We're talking about a 28 pixels per degree, which much higher than what you'd find in the Quest 2 or the Quest Pro. Not quite as high as the 35 pixels per degree that the Vario Aero had, and that one had a wider field of view as well, but also a much bigger headset. But playing a game like Half-Life Alyx, using big screen VR in the demo time I had, it reminded me of that Vario Aero experience where I was really amazed at how sharp the textures, the geometry could be in these games, in these experiences. It felt like a cut above the VR I've been used to, even today, with something like the Quest Pro. In terms of colors and brightness, the colors are great. The black levels of the OLED were absolutely pitch black. Brightness didn't seem super bright to me. The panels that I looked up have actually a rated nit of 3000 nits, which is incredibly bright. But I think by using pancake optics, one of the things we're learning is that you lose a lot of light just from the polarization of the different layers. That's going to be not just the lower field of view relative to hybrid optics or Fresnel optics. Pancake optics, you're going to be kind of constrained to roughly around that 90-degree field of view, and the brightness may not be as bright as a modern LCD panel using Fresnel optics, for example. I also did notice a little bit of glaring in the lenses. So in an experience where it was a pitch black big screen VR environment, a dark living room using bright 4K video playing off of a computer, I did notice in some scenes, not exactly like God rays, but something, artifacts that did make me realize that there were, I could see that there were lenses in front of the image. A longer play session and testing will be needed before I know if that's going to be distracting in the long run, but it was something I noticed in the short amount of time I had. This is a really interesting headset that they've announced. It really seems like they're catering to existing VR enthusiasts, someone who might have invested in SteamVR with a Valve Index and waiting for that next upgrade. You got base stations installed, you got Valve Index controllers, and you just want a headset with much higher resolution and something that you can wear for longer periods of time. Those sim gamers that Darshan was talking about, this seems really catered to them. So I'll be really interested to see if there is a market for that, and we will be doing more testing of this. There's a later embargo for more long-term testing, so stay tuned. If you have questions about Bigscreen Beyond that you'd like to see me test or answer, please post them in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's an exciting time for VR.